Gopi Janna Girivana Dhama
Gopi Yashodanandana
Yamuna Tira
Class, வந்து பாருங்க.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, today I'm so excited to have my Shiksha Guru. Ciranjiva Guru is one of my Shiksha Guru. And of course, just to introduce about him, Ciranjiva Guru is one of the most senior most devotees in Malaysia. He joined ISKCON in 1977. In 1977. He got a very interesting story. I think your book is coming up soon. Or still on the way? No ending. Okay, he's writing about his whole story, his memoir, how from Surabaya he left and went to Europe to look for a job. And it was really a fantastic, what do you call, journey and adventure, just like what do you call, what is the great adventure? Indiana Jones, something like that, right? So,
That's so exciting.
but he didn't go through the jungle or mountain stuff, right? So he went to Europe, then and he had a beautiful journey from Bombay because he allowed me to do anything for his what they call his book. So that means like a proofread. But end up I got excited. I didn't do proofreading, but I got so expired to see now. Take back the book. So I think I read something like around six of his chapters. First six chapters very inspiring. Right? Prabhu joined ISKCON in 1977, Sweden. Okay, and he is here in that lots of book distribution campaign, especially he was so brave enough to distribute around in USSR, Russia. That time was communist law, and also Germany. Okay, there's a story about one of the stories book whereby they made a lot of money, they made a lot of collection, and the way they brought the collection back to Sweden, I think, they need to hide. They need to hide. They get there, and suddenly that the block, I think the German person, Norway suspected, and somehow or other they escaped. Okay, and also one of the story about how around 6, 7 of them all cramped in a hotel. Okay, and a hotel, and when suddenly the hotel guy was so suspicious, came and opened, and he was doing some kung fu stunt because at that time they think every Chinese a kung fu master. So maybe he looked like Bruce Lee or what. So they did that. So like that, he got so much of inspiring story. And one of the best story is about his preaching campaign in Sweden. He have to go and preach to the place where the snow is up his knee level. Can you imagine? So you have to walk. I wonder how he did it, up to the knee level. And a small town which is almost not possible to reach, but ended up he distributed fantastic books. So he is one of that person who really inspired me. In 2020, we hit 5,400 Bhagavad Gita, and this thing all inspired by him. That day we had a discussion. I told 1,000 books, one Bhagavad Gita. Then he told me, why not? One person, one Bhagavad Gita, you upgrade to 5,000. But I don't know why. He's very charismatic person. He has so much of charisma and aura. So when you say something, I couldn't say no. But end up, we made it in 10 months. Less than 10 months, we did that much of score. So Prabhu is such a fantastic devotee, and he is one of the big inspiration to start his Samahan program, to start his Chinese preaching effort. Okay, I think we've been talking about Chinese preaching for so long. So now we got Chinese devotees who are taking initiation, and of course I think Prabhu will be coming more often here to inspire them. Okay, so that means it's a yes. That means it's a yes. All right. So like that. So if I want to say about him, I think I can go on talking for at least 1 hour. Okay, and he's not from ordinary family. He's from one of the very successful family from Surabaya. Even though humble starting, that Chinese meal isang. You take that thing and simply like toast the thing. What is that? Isa. And Isa was founded by his grandfather. And now every Chinese is using it. All right, every Chinese meal they're using it, and like that, there's a lot of wonderful things. In fact, politically and family-wise and everything, it's not from ordinary family. Okay, he's been married with one son and daughter. Was in Australia, and now the children are grown up. They have their own restaurant, and the daughter is married. So now back to Malaysia. And Ciranjiva Prabhu is not ordinary. I mean, he is also a co-regional secretary for ISKCON Malaysia. Co-regional secretary for ISKCON Malaysia. Only Malaysia, right? Or not the region. Okay, co-regional secretary is one of the highest posts in ISKCON. Okay, so without further delay, so I will give you His Grace Ciranjiva Prabhu. Give a big hand. Get over it.
You forgot to mention that 2020 we did the Patra Purnima. So he already took on the challenge of doing 5,000 Bhagavad Gita that year. So I call him up and say, Prabhu, what about Bhagavatam set? We are on Bhagavad Gita, and I make a commitment to 500 sets in Malaysia. I said, Prabhu, I never distributed any sets before in my life. I said, you never distributed Bhagavad Gita in your life also before. So now you have all your students all have Bhagavad Gita, they distribute Bhagavad Gita. Now you go back and tell them now the next level is stepping up from Bhagavad Gita to Srimad Bhagavatam. He did it, and in half an hour or something, he called me back. He said, Prabhu, he was so excited. He said, Prabhu, I called up, I don't know, 6 or 7 of my students who are doing Bhagavad Gita, and I told them about Bhagavatam, and they all took. So in 5 minutes, he did 6 or 7 Bhagavatam sets. So everything is possible. Because why is it possible? Because everything is done by Krishna. We are just an instrument. Không có câu chuyện trong translation này đây là thành và phát triển là những có lên. Thế nên thì một lên. This is really messed up. I'm Chinese, they are Chinese, but we're not communicating in Chinese. I have to speak English and they get translation by English. So what should I talk about? He didn't give me a Bhagavad Gita verse to talk about. Free flow. That's the worst thing, is to find the topic. Does anyone have any suggestion or any topic you want me to talk about today? Any subject matter? How are you? Any topic you want to know? You're you. You know everything already. You already learned everything from your father. Everyone prove this reason. Everyone. Actually, when you join ISKCON, automatically you become a distributor. You know why? It's just like Prabhu was mentioning Yisang. When my maternal grandfather was serving Yisang during the Chinese New Year period, it's only during Chinese New Year he was serving. It was like all hands on deck. From the youngest to the oldest, we were all there doing something. Whether it's cleaning the tower, putting in ice, spraying some perfume on there and distributing it for tips. Everyone was doing it because we was a family business. So similarly, books, this is our family business. Our ISKCON family business is both producing them, printing them, and distributing them. Don't ask how do you distribute books. Very often we ask the question, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I become Krishna conscious? How do I become surrendered? How can I become fixed up? How can I chant my round spender? How? That's the wrong chapter. Everything has its sequence. You start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. So how is further down. The first question and the most important question we should always ask ourselves, why? It's how do I become Krishna conscious? Why? Why do you want to become Krishna conscious? Why do you think that it's so important that you become Krishna conscious? So, how do you distribute books? Why do you want to distribute books? Why is it important to distribute books? When you understand why you are going to do something, why you want to do something, and you understand it deeply, you become a phenomenon. Nothing can stop you.
It
Just
just
some of you are fathers, some are mothers.
You
You
go to work.
work. Some of you may not even like your job. You drag yourself up in the morning to go to work. Some of you may even have to travel long distance to go to job. And then you go to the work, you hate the supervisor or manager because he gives you a hard time. But what keeps you going? It is not a matter how you do your job, how you go to work. But the question is, why are you still doing the job that you hate? You have a very strong reason doing it. Because you have to pay the bills, you have to pay the mortgage, you have a family to feed. You don't have the luxury to choose whether you should or you should not do it. The why is so strong that it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what you like or you don't like. It's something that you must do or you have to do. So every successful person, they don't become successful overnight. Neither do the path of success is easy. Many of them have to go through some hard struggle to reach to where they are. Many of these tycoons, self-made millionaires, you can ask them to tell you their stories. Their stories, you can take each write on the story, the struggles they go through. Like even in Malaysia, we have immigrants who are very rich, whether it's Indian or Chinese tycoon. When they came, they were not rich. They came as coolies. But they work hard, save, invest in business, they build, and build. And they build up a fortune. So when you look around, you see devotees. Some devotees may be around 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 plus years. But and they may seem to be well situated in their Krishna consciousness. But it's not that they did not go through any struggle. Every devotee who has been around for some years, they will tell their war stories to tell. Isn't it? You all have war stories, and they all have scars, battlefield scars to show of the struggle they went through. But despite all this struggle, despite all these obstacles, what is it that makes them keep going? Because they have a very strong mind. When defeat faces them, when they're faced with defeat, when they're faced with the idea and thought of giving up, the why gives them the strength to keep going. So why? Because they have come to know, whether from Guru, Sadhu, or Shastra, what is this Krishna consciousness. Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, there are four kinds of people come to him. Some, they come to Krishna consciousness out of distress. They're suffering, they're in pain. So they come and find some relief. But if that is the reason, only reason why they come, and they don't progress further, once they come to Krishna consciousness and they become relieved from the distress, then what happened? They think, I'm okay now. I don't need Krishna. I'm okay. And they go. Some, they come for some material gain. For example, in some places where they don't even have food to eat, or they live very poor conditions, so they come to the temple, it's like a luxury hotel. And they become comfortable there, and then they think, all right, I don't need to surrender. Or they come because they're inquisitive. What is all this Hare Krishna people? What are they doing? Why always? Here, maybe in Malaysia, Malaysia is not so much. But in the Western country, before, in early days, You're walking out around with Dodi, the thing, what is up these people walking around with bedsheets? White bedsheets, separate bedsheets. And funny hairstyle. Nowadays, you see, we become popular hairstyle. But in those days, it's weird. And then they have this strange marking on their forehead. So people think it's strange. And some they may come and ask, what is this all about? And become inquisitive. When the answers are satisfied, then okay, there's nothing more. And the last one, they come for knowledge. And in the next verse, Krishna said, out of all these four people who come to him, those who are seeking knowledge is the best. Because through knowledge, we understand what Krishna consciousness is about, and then why we take up Krishna consciousness, and the importance of Krishna consciousness. So when you have this understanding firmly situated in your heart, you become a phenomenon. Nothing can stop you. Maya will try to stop you, that's for sure. And every step they'll try to trick you. They'll fit illusion into your mind, make you think all kinds of things. But the why will give you the strength to plow through all the obstacles. So similarly, we may ask book distribution. First of all, it is our family business. If you study Prabhupada Lamrita and study what is the core mission of Sri Prabhupada. Prabhupada, in all his years, he had met his spiritual master only very few times. Probably less than the number you can count on one hand. And his guru, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta, gave him only very few instructions. The first instruction that Sri Bhaktisiddhanta gave Prabhupada, when Prabhupada's young man, newly married, came to see Prabhupada on the insistence of his good friend. As he was bowing down before he even got up, first time he went to see Sri Bhaktisiddhanta. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta could recognize who he was and started giving him instruction that you are an educated young man. You should spread these teachings of Lord Chaitanya to the English-speaking world. At that time, Prabhupada was a staunch Gandhian. And he was arguing that no, liberation of India from the British is more important. Otherwise people will not appreciate Indian philosophy and culture. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta impressed upon him, he said, all this liberation from one superpower to another is temporary. But the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so urgent, it cannot wait. And Prabhupada was impressed. He said, I met a sadhu. Even though he did not meet Sri Bhaktisiddhanta again for like another 2 decades or so, he had already accepted the mission in his heart. And he was trying in different ways to preach Krishna consciousness. He even started the Back to God magazine during the war, and he was writing articles. Then one time he brought his young son towards the end, brought his young son to see his guru in Radhakut. And his Radha, at that time, they have already built the place. Now they have 64 Gaudiya around India. They built a beautiful temple, Calcutta, marble temple. And Sri Bhaktisiddhanta told him, at that time he was not even considered like an intimate disciple or not holding any big position in the Gaudiya Math. That's a householder. So he came to see, and Sri Bhaktisiddhanta instructed him, said there will be fire in the walls. So meaning, when people are already so attached to the temple, the facility in the temple, who's going to get what room, who's going to hold what position. That is like lighting a fire. The structures of the temple will collapse because of this infighting. He said, better sell all the marbles. Use the money to print books. So two instructions, English-speaking world, print book. And Prabhupada took this. So much so that when he retired in retirement, to sannyas, he started with Bhagavad Gita. And the manuscript was stolen. Then he started with Srimad Bhagavatam. Monumental task for someone in his 60s to start such work. But he did it. With no support, no resources. Just translate on the typewriter, type it out, manuscript. Did all the editing, proofreading himself. Then go around asking for donations. When you hear someone is nice, you got on the train and travel to see someone to ask for donation for the printing of the books. You go everywhere. And then you go to see the printer, and whatever is collected, give the printer, and the printer can only print so much books at a time. And you have to personally go to Chandni Chowk. Anyone been to India, Chandni Chowk, Delhi? Old Delhi. You never been to Old Delhi? Chandni Chowk? Most people go to New Delhi. The Old Delhi, Chandni Chowk, when you walk in, it's like a jungle. There's no sunlight. Everything is covered. And it's packed, and there are all different areas. Here you the clothing area, then you all the different items for sale, retail, especially wholesale. So he has to go there to buy the negotiate and buy the paper, get a rickshaw driver to bring the papers to the printer so they can print. Same thing for the Back to College magazine. And you personally go and sell it on the street. And whatever you collected, you go back and print more. And one time during summer, it was so hot, he fainted on the street. Luckily, someone and the acquaintance passed by, saw him, took him in to the coffee tea house, and then gave him some water to drink. So that's how Prabhupada started, how serious it was in taking up the instruction with spiritual master to print books. Any paisa, any money has, you will print books. And you personally go and distribute that himself. So when he finally got the sponsorship in America and a free passageway on the cargo boat, now let me ask you, if we were to ask one of you, any one of you, okay, now you will go to somewhere in Africa, you start a center, and you will go by cargo boat with no money. Maybe we'll supply you with 2 trunks of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Who will go? And it's often said that Prabhupada had something like 65 rupees when he got on the boat. When they say he got so much this much money when he arrived. But later on, in Prabhupada, one of Prabhupada anniversary of 50 years of ISKCON, they had a big program in Calcutta, and his younger son, Vrindavan, came on stage and he spoke. He said, when Prabhupada got on this boat, the Jaladuta in Calcutta, he was the only one who sent him off. There was no one else. Only his younger son came and sent him off. And just before he got on the boat, Prabhupada said, I have all these rupees here. I cannot use them in America. And he gave it to his son. So Prabhupada didn't even have any money when he arrived in America. Because the rupees that he had, he gave to his son. All he had was a few trunks of books. I don't know if you have seen those books. I was very fortunate. I got one set of those books, the Prabhupada Bhagavatam, that's been reprinted. Copies of those books, reprinted. The English is very hard to understand. It's very archaic English, very Old English, and a lot of mistakes, a lot of spelling mistakes, a lot of grammar mistakes. And with that, he started the Hare Krishna. Because what inspired him was from the verse Bhagavatam, that this Srimad Bhagavatam will cause, although he said when this message Bhagavatam, although it may be imperfectly composed, it will cause a revolution in the heart of mankind. It's so powerful, it's a message that is beyond grammar, beyond any language. Just like Prabhupada said, during a fire, when the house is on fire, when someone is shouting, fire, 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 get out, get out. Then some Chinaman say, fire, fire. Chinese say, get out, get out. They say, you complain, say, don't speak Chinese to me, can speak Tamil. I don't understand, speak Tamil to me. No, you can understand the language by the expression, the urgency, and you run out. So from that, that's how the Krishna consciousness started. Books. And throughout his life, Prabhupada was stressing, books, books, where are my books? Where are my books? When he came to America, he spoke to the BBT trustee production manager. I want this book done. When are you going to finish the Chaitanya Charitamrita? And the devotee in charge was saying something like, he said, well, at the moment we're producing one book a month. We can double our effort, we can do 2 a month. So that's going to take another 6 months or more. You know? No, actually, they were saying like 1 in the 2-3 months. We say we can do 1 a month or something. So that means it will take more than 1 year. Then Prabhupada said, no, too long. I want it done in 2 months. They were on the morning walk. Prabhupada said, and then the production manager said, Prabhupada, it's not possible to do it 2 months. And Prabhupada stopped with his cane down. He said, impossible can only be found in the Fool's Dictionary. And it's true. Who can spell the word impossible? Can you spell it? Now, I am possible. Right? Impossible, you break it up, it's I am possible. So quickly they left and they went back and played. And they actually did it 2 months. The Srimad Bhagavatam. See, by the power of the instruction order of the pure devotee, it becomes happen. But normally, you would think about it, how is it possible? 17 volumes. The transcription has been done, then the typesetting, the editing, the book, the proofreading, then all the paintings have been done for the illustrations. The front cover, back cover with all the indexes, appendix. There's a lot of things involved in the book, and in those days, everything is done manually. I know because I was in charge of book production for 1.5 years. I was at that time I was in charge of something like 14 different languages. All the European languages, including Russian, Yugoslavian languages, Czechoslovakian, Hungarian, Bulgarian, Polish, Danish, Norwegian, Swedish, like that, and Finnish. So I was in charge for 1.5 years, and we did only 20 books. At that time, we were more experienced, and we managed 20 books. So he did 70 volumes through that word. That shows the spiritual power. So all our questions about how can this be done, how can be done, is mute. It doesn't apply in our Krishna consciousness. If it is a desire of Krishna, why do you think Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita? He said this is a secret of all secrets, Raja Vijay Raja Guya. Although it's a secret, how can it be a secret? He was speaking in the middle of two armies. Everyone could hear what he's saying. Right? And he was preparing. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita and was preparing someday his Senapati, his commander-in-chief of Sankirtan army will come and take all my recorded words, which is recorded Bhagavad Gita, and he will get it translated in all the different languages of the world and get it printed and distributed in mass. And one time, Prabhupada, before he had any temple, he was sitting on a bench with another man. And the man was curious. He said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And Prabhupada was so confident. He was saying, "I have many temples. And many books printed. Many books will be distributed, magazines, schools and farm projects." He didn't even have a single temple at the time. But he was envisioned that this is going to happen. So when the pure devotee desires something, it happens because it's a desire of Krishna. So all these books, when they are printed, they're not going to sit either. They're going to be distributed. Be sure of that. Now, who wants to take part of the credit? The question is, do you want to be part of the credit? Just like Krishna told Arjuna, he showed Arjuna the universal form. So you're lamenting about killing these soldiers. Actually, they already killed. I already killed them. In the universal form, you see all these soldiers entering his mouth, being crushed by steel. So they're all being killed. Now, I want you to take the credit for this. This Krishna consciousness movement will be spread every town village. The holy name will be spread to every town village. And we see that more and more. Remote places, people are hearing about Hare Krishna. The books will be distributed everywhere throughout Malaysia. Do you want to claim some credit? Do you want to be part of the grand plan? Who wants to be part of the grand plan? Nobody? Who wants to be part of the credit? Take the credit. To be when the book distribution have been done. Krishna is already distributing that. So understand this. And so you see, although Prabhupada have done so many things, opened so many temples, restaurants, he taught us so many things, farm project, but what was his core instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta? Preach to the English-speaking world. You have money, print books. Printing books means distributing them, not printing them, just leave it in the warehouse. So these were the two core instructions, and Prabhupada did more than that. Not only to the English-speaking world. He went through so many different countries where they don't speak English. And where he did not go, his followers, his disciple went. He may not have been to Eastern Europe. The disciples went. He went to Russia, Moscow only once, for about 1 week or so. And then he intensely planted the seed of one person. That one person spreading Krishna consciousness all over the Soviet Union. And he was not even, he was like known as an intellectual, was moving around the intellectual circle, so people are a bit more open-minded. But it was not that he knows the philosophy very well, because he met Prabhupada for a few days, and Prabhupada instructed him. There's no association. But based on what he learned from Prabhupada, he preached. And it spread throughout the Soviet Union so much. At one time, the KGB, considered KGB, the Secret Service in the Soviet Union, they claim that the two greatest danger to the Soviet society, the number one is Western culture and communism, and number two are the Hare Krishna. They consider this two as the greatest threat to the Soviet society. And so many devotees were thrown into jail and into psychiatric hospital. There was these two devotees from Armenia. They were thrown into psychiatric ward, and they created Namata cell there, Bhakti Riksha there in the dormitory. Then the authority that these two guys are too powerful. They sprayed them up into two different wards, and they ended up creating two cells into two different wards that could not be stopped. And the initial devotees, the Prabhupada Bhikshu, that tortured him so badly. They gave him psychedelic drugs, all kinds of psychotic drugs, that he was feeling pain and uncomfortable, lying down, could not sit down, could not lie down, he could not stand up, he walked here and there, he was just feeling discomfort and pain from all these drugs. So even after he was released, he became so sick, and then eventually he just passed away. One baby was born in jail. I met the mother. He was born in jail, and as soon as the baby was born, the baby was taken away. And soon after that, the baby died. So a couple of other devotees died in the labor camp. They sacrificed their life for spreading Krishna consciousness. How dangerous it is. You know how the books have been distributed in Russia during the time? People copy them. And photocopies are controlled. So people have a book and they handwritten copy the book. And then they distribute. So we figure that one book maybe have been read by at least 50 to 100 people. And they share it, they read it, and they share it, and they share it. So during the end of the Soviet era, I was there for 1 week. And you get a feeling what it's like to be in the police state. Me and my wife went there in the hotel room. We were so paranoid. We in the hotel room, we were whispering, we were chanting, quietly hiding. And we are scared that there may be microphone in the room, maybe there's video camera watching us. You walk out on the street and the KGB is watching you. But when we met with the devotee, they're so relaxed, walking like there's nothing. And they've just came out from the labor camp psychiatric hospital. So I was there on behalf of the PPT, answering all the questions of the PPT devotee and training them. And every day they took me to an empty apartment. And then they say empty apartment, next day empty apartment. And finally, day and night they'll be asking questions. So many questions. So finally I say, okay, the last 3 days I'm here. Daytime question answer PPT, evening time I want to do it for home program. So they organize. So one Martin will take my wife out shopping so she can cook for the feast. My wife told me every shop that went in the shop you said yet. Yet means no in Russian. No. He said the shelves are empty. They can't buy anything. In one shop, they buy maybe some flour, and then another shop, maybe they manage buy a few potatoes. Another shop, maybe you want cauliflower. They have to go a few shops to collect enough item. And my wife said, I don't know what I'm cooking because I don't have everything. And then one elderly Mataji came and told my wife, said, Mataji, I have something very special that you can use. We don't use it every time. We use it on only a special day, like Janmashtami. You know, it's so valuable. And what they should put out? A bottle of ink. A bottle of ink. No, I think asal petida. That it was so valuable that they use it only for the special occasion. So my wife cooked whatever it could from the ingredients, and all the devotees were wow. And the apartments were very small, one bedroom apartment, the living room, and then the hallway. The room so small, it's like those rooms there, you know, like two of those rooms. It was so packed. On the last day, people were coming in and coming forward. I was pushed right to the corner. And there was not enough room for me to sit cross-legged. I had to sit with my knee to my chest. People were sitting all around me. Then later someone told me, said, why didn't you just stand up? Yeah, actually, if I stood up, then there would be more room. So how people are so eager. So when they finally opened and they could register themselves and they were able to open this book, it flooded the whole place with so many books. They become the top distributors in the world. So many books in the distribution. So they didn't have the opportunity, but they understand the importance. Why? So because of the strength, why? They did not care for all the challenges and the difficulties. If I saw these stories I tell you of book distribution in Eastern Europe in the during Soviet era would drive fear in your heart. You know how they bring books into Eastern Germany. So Germany is divided west and east. And Berlin is split into two parts, East Berlin, West Berlin. And it's smack right in the middle of East Germany, surrounded by East Germany, communist. And then you have West Berlin there. So from West Germany, you have to go on the highway. The highway goes straight. So you have to pass through immigration as you enter the highway. And then when you come out, also immigration. So for Westerner going through, you are not allowed to turn off the highway. You have to have special permission. So what the devotees did, there were two similar looking vans. One will go with the permission to go into East Germany, and that van will be quite empty. And they have an agreement, and then another van will be packed with books. They're supposed to just go through the column to Berlin, so they don't need the permit. And then the agreement stopped at a gas station, where there's also restaurant and everything. So when they park the car a bit in a remote area, and during a short time, because they also figure out how long it takes to pass through. So if it takes too long, they will question where have you been. So during that time there, they quickly changed the number plate, front and back. So now the car, full of books, have the license because of the number plate to enter East Germany. And the other plate is going empty into West Berlin. So they will drive the car full of books into East Germany. and left with them. So one time, this car went in, and after the road there was a police stop. If they stop and you see all these books, you're finished, you're gone. So very quickly, before there was a bit of distance, you could see the roadblock, quickly turned into a side road. And he was just traveling in the side road and then became dark in the night, trying to find his way to the town in East Germany. At that time, there was no GPS. There was no map. There was no ways. Somehow, just by, I don't know, maybe she's a stargazer, looking at the stars. And he just drove, and then here and there, and after a few hours, he managed to end up in the town. So he ended up in the town and came to this address that they got of someone who had just came in contact with Jehovah's recently. It's not even a real devotee yet. It just came in contextual little interest. So in the middle of the night, it was like midnight or 1 o'clock. They rang on his bell. He woke up, and it was something like, the house was half cellar, so you have a window, and then was on the mezzanine floor, halfway up, but not the full first floor. So he just stopped there, and he said, I want this, I went through the books. Can we just leave it there in your house? Before he could answer, he had the window open. This devotee he was a sannyasi actually. He took the box of book and practically just throw it into the window, and catch the window, put it there. He just empty out the books, just keep throwing into the apartment. And then say, okay, thank you, bye-bye. I mean, if that guy got caught, he'll be spending many, many years there. So this is some of the stories. When you involve with that, it's very exciting. Now it's a bit boring. And sometimes when the Russian book was printed, we are driving somewhere on the Swedish highway, and we drive with the Volvo car. So the police in Sweden use Volvo. Then we saw this truck in front of us, a Russian number plate. So we overtook the truck and then waved, and the police waved, driver to stop. And they will stop in front, we stop the car, and then the truck will stop. And this devotee was like regional secretary for Russia. He will run out and speak to them in some Russian. They were nervous because they used to police state the gate stop and police what's happening. So he spoke to them in some Russian, and he gave them a bunch of books, and they laughed. Or we go to Finland, which is like a neutral country. There's a lot of Russians coming through, and we'll go there and drop books whenever they're Russians. One time in Copenhagen, I took some group who was visiting Gurukuli, went to see the Moscow circus. So after the circus, we hang around and spoke with some of the artists, trapeze, and then we spoke to me, and then we are Indian philosophy. We invited them for Indian lunch, and actually a bunch of them came. They came for lunch, and we all pumped them up with Russian books. Because what these books they managed to bring back, 50 to 100 people will read them, at least one, because they're so rare. So it was really, really exciting, very exciting. And when you are in that kind of a mood, somehow I don't know. In those days, when I think about it, we had no fear. When me and my wife went to Russia 1 week, we brought the laptop with me. At that time, that was like the first laptop by Toshiba T1000. That was like the first. The first I came into contact with this was someone ordered it from America to be sent to Berlin, Germany. I had to fly from Copenhagen to Berlin, pick it up and bring it back. So you can imagine the difference in price must be that I have to take all the trouble to fly there to bring it back. So when I arrived there to pick up, and the custom guy asked me about this computer. I'm a low-tech guy, I don't know anything about computer. And he asked me a question, oh, about this computer. Oh, I say, oh, this is a very special big computer, you know, and can do a lot of things that other computers cannot do. I just laughed it. I said, oh, customers, oh wow. It was new. It was new technology laptop. So I was bringing one of these laptops into the country. My job was to treat it there. But the problem was when you bring something into Soviet Union or Moscow, they will write on your passport to make sure that you bring it out. So as we're nearing the custom, I was very smart. I handed the computer back to my wife. I said, you carry it. And I went through custom. They checked my bag, everything, went through custom. And as my wife was coming forward, you see how Krishna I worked, came forward. Another custom officer came over and they started talking and they started smoking. And so I said, finish? He said, yes, can go? Yes, can go. He was referring to me, but my wife was standing next to me and said, okay, my wife, I told my wife, let's go. He said, we can go, so we go. And we went out with the computer. That computer, we have done something to the computer. We have so many good programmers in the temple at that time. They programmed the keyboard that with a few keys, it turned into a Cyrillic keyboard, a Russian language keyboard, from English to Russian. They had to do that, otherwise they can't use it. So we had to program that laptop and change it. So I went in there, they were so excited, their first ever computer that they have, and they use it for making books. And so on the last day, when I was doing the program in Moscow, when we were leaving, the devotees very casually told me, you see, you know, there was a KGB informant in the class. I completely freaked out. I said, what? Now he's telling me. I said, how do you know? He said, you always come and buy so many books and you sell them and bring back more money. So straight enough the next day, when I was going to fly out, so I was checking in, they went to the custom. They took out everything from my bag, all the manuscript, the devotees, the videos, the pictures, there was a painting. And the funny thing was this guy, young custom officer, he opened the page and said, Krishna. And put it there. And 2 KGB guys came. They took the videos with them. And they were checking and checking. Everything was taking a long time. Finally, the airline officer said, no, you got to go. We got to go. We are already boarding. And I was surprised they gave me back everything. So we walked. And we went to the gate. We were lining up for boarding. And I was praying so hard. Let us get on this plane, let us get on this plane. And not just get on the plane, let us fly outside of the Soviet airspace. And as we were getting closer at the corner of my eye, I saw these 2 fellows walking towards me. And oh, not now, let me get on the plane. And they came and gave me back the video and said, have a safe flight. I said, what's going on here? And I could see that they had watched it because it was halfway through. There was devotees on Harina, devotees arguing with police. And I mean, I tell you, these Russians are crazy. They go on Harina public, this ban, Hare Krishna is banned in the Soviet Union. They go on Harina. And then they go and argue with the militia. They're crazy. Fanatic. So there was a lot more fun is gone in the earlier days. So much fun, so much adventure. Krishna, so you have to create your own adventures. But you know, when you go out and sell books, you see somehow or other in Malaysia, devotees we have lost the art of selling books. Is that in your days, brahmachari day, we go and sell books. Is that no? Now who knows how to sell books? We only know how to do shastra. When people donate and then we're going to give out free. You don't know how to sell books anymore. It's still better than nothing. But sometimes we're just dumping books everywhere. But Prabhupada said when someone pay for the book, at least you open it a bit. Of course, you can give it to someone who's deserving. But when you give someone, try to get a donation from that person. Because there's a reciprocation they offer. Because then you can use the money to buy more books, issue more. You give the friend, you said, it's a gift, but if you want, you can give something so I can use it to buy more books for others. Yeah. So like that. So by all means, whatever you can, whether you sell it on the street, sell it door to door, shastradan, donation, whatever, let's distribute. You know why? Because Prabhupada said, if you don't distribute these books, there will be no more Hari book. What will you have? You'll be Hari politics. Because book distribution is such an all-consuming activity. If you really want to distribute books, you really want to be a successful book distributor, you have to be completely thinking about book distribution all day, every day. I understood that when I was a young devotee. So I do things artificially to create that mentality. When I go to sleep, I'll put books around my head. And that will be the last thing I see when I close my eyes. And that will be the first thing I see when I wake up. And I have books everywhere in the rooms. When I'm chanting, everywhere I go, I see books. In this way, I feel my consciousness day and night with books, book. In the dreams, I'm dreaming books. In my dream, I'm dreaming on the street selling books. So when you show Krishna that, yes, I want to do this, Krishna empowers. When Krishna empowers you, you can distribute so many. Recently, last year, we heard about one devotee in New York, brahmachari. He did something like 1,000 something books in one day. 1,000 plus books. And then shortly after that, a disciple of Jalananda Maharaj, and he said that I could never in my life distribute even one book if my life depended on it. He said, I'm so hopeless in distributing. I could not even distribute a book even if my life depends on it. But I wanted to please my Guru Maharaj so much because he always talked about book distribution. So I want to go out and really do it. And he went out and did it. He did what, 5,000 books? Someone who cannot distribute a single book, and he went out and distributed 5,000 books in one day. And he collected money for it. It was not like he gave it away. So just see, it is not us distributing books, it's Krishna. Now you tell me, in all the services that we can do for Krishna, which service that you can feel that you can become so empowered? Can you be empowered? I mean, there's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting down any service. Every service is transcendental for pleasing Krishna. You get empowered to cleaning the floor, washing the pot. Just when you're cooking, sometimes you're inspired and you cook something, and devotees, when taste the prasad, they become very inspired. But to go out and do something that is beyond your wildest imagination, beyond anything that you can even consider that you can do, and that you know for certain this is not you doing it, it's Krishna doing it. I know it for sure because when I was distributing books in Sweden, I could not speak Swedish. All I had was just a script. I would go up to the person, give them a book. I say, hey, and then 1 or 2 words in Swedish, hey, and I just hand them the book and I repeat the script. And they would say, so many times. And I said, yeah. And I pat them on the shoulder and say, just take it anyway. And that's another Swedish I have. Just take them anyway. But I got it wrong. For like 1.5 years, I got it wrong. That's in Swedish. I wanted to say, take it anyway. You are so generous, so kind. Just take it anyway, give a donation. So the word is snälla. Snälla means you're kind, generous. But we're using the word snåla. Snåla means you're miserly. So I've been telling people, just take it, you're so miserly, just give a donation. And they must have been so shocked that they don't know how to respond and they just give me a donation. I didn't know that until one time, 1.5 years or so later, I was doing a demo in the Sankirtan meeting. And I was saying that, and everyone was cracking up, laughing. He said, do you know what Jesus said? I said, yeah, generous. He said, no, that's not what it means. It's the opposite, you're saying. And yet, regularly 80, 100 Bhagavad Gita every day. And the top was 304 Bhagavad Gita. That was one day. Not understand, can't speak the language, can't understand what they say. Later on, after my Sankirtan day, sometimes Sankirtan devotee come back to them and they tell me, say, oh, I met this senior pensioner, and I bought a book from you. And they told me, say, yeah, I met this Korean guy, Japanese guy, Vietnamese, whatever they see in the news, I'm them. I could be. If they see the news Korean, they think I'm Korean, or they think I'm Japanese or Vietnamese, and so many things. They say, I met this guy, and he was saying something, I could not understand the word he said. And then next thing I know, I walked away, I had a book in my hand. And when I don't know, my wallet was like, it's mystical. Then you realize, I'm just an instrument, it's Krishna doing it. So there's no service that I know of, I mean my 40+ years as a devotee, that you can actually experience to become empowered, to get the mercy of Krishna and how to be empowered by Krishna as much as going out with Krishna. They have experienced that, isn't it? Now the first time you go out, you're a bit nervous. You're not nervous. Very nervous. Yeah. But your father was a tyrant. He was forcing you out, right? The lockdown. And now he could not stop you from going out. But once you go out and you get caught by the energy, become ecstatic. I saw it because I saw when the calling video, you just came back from book district in the car, I could see all 3 of you are like bubbly with excitement and experiencing joy. And so much joy you experience from book district, you don't experience anywhere else. So book distribution is the all-consuming activity that fully engages physically, mentally, intellectually, spiritually. And when we are so absorbed, you have no time for politics. You have no time for trivial stuff, nitty-gritty stuff. Now, when we are traveling with 6 of us in the van, and we are so frugal, when we go hotel room, we go for 1 person, and we 6 of us will sneak into the hotel room. He was talking about one of them. I was booked in a motel, The first thing we do, we move all the furniture on top of one another, so there's enough space to put out the sleeping bag. But I tripped on something, and there was an alarm in the reception. And the manager came, called me first, and couldn't fix it, so he came. So the first time he called me, I couldn't fix it. Second time he came, and I knew this time he's going to call, he's going to come. So I got everyone hiding in the bathroom. There was my good friend who was traveling with us for the first time, hiding. The others, they were relaxed because they know I was always cool as a cucumber. But my friend, he was so nervous that, that this guy will open the bathroom door, and then you have 5 others standing hiding in the bathroom. So can you imagine this manager walked into the room and the furniture were all on top of one another? I say, you know, I do I practice Kung Fu every day. So I need the space. I need the space to do my Kung Fu. And my friend couldn't believe it. How could this guy be so cool, you know, and talking and joking with the manager? And I joking, I said, okay, can you just fix my day with fix because I'm traveling salesman. I have to get up very early in the morning. And I also I sleep very early. So he came in, do something, he was loose and he left. So these are some of the things we did. Very nice. And that other time was the money. That I was not so cool. I was very nervous. And the devotee noticed that this guy usually is so cool. Why is he a bit nervous? I had so much money in the box just under the seat. And they came and moved it, but didn't remove the shoes blocking it. So what will you not do for Krishna? So it's all consuming. There's nothing to think, nothing to consider. And we are 6 of us, we're all different. Can you imagine Kubam in the Sankirtan van? All six of us. All night, Kubam in the room so small. And then all day we are going out on the street. And because all day we are just facing Maya, fighting with Maya, this will book, this will book. By the time if we get taken up by the van, we're just so happy to see another sane person. We're just so happy to see another people. We overlook all the. I tell some of us are pretty weird habits and weird stuff. All of us have some weird stuff going on. But we are so happy to see one another. We just don't see all this weird stuff. And we became so close friends until today we're still very close friends. Because we have been in the trenches together. So I in here went a bit long. You want to hear more? Then hopefully someday my memoir get published. So many have promised to edit the book and then stop after 1 chapter they stop. They say interesting, it's very interesting, and then they. So Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Just imagine, just please do it. So all those people who try to do it cannot do video. I think we just need to print it as it is. Don't need to do videos. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much. It's great to talk to you. So that thank you for your time for coming in.
I have a question. What do you feel? Do you think it's worth taking up book distribution? But before you do that, I will ask: does each one of you have a Bhagavad Gita? Who don't have a Bhagavad Gita? Raise your hand. Where's the Bhagavad Gita?
Who don't have a Bhagavad Gita?
Where's the Bhagavad Gita?
Please.
This is the Bhagavad Gita. Who don't have? Everyone have? Very good. Now the next question is, who think that distribution books is vital, is important, and is worthwhile activity? Please raise your hand. Good. And besides your own copy of Bhagavad Gita, do you have any other Bhagavad Gita? Yes. Who has? Who wants to distribute book but don't have extra Bhagavad Gita? How many do you have at home? How many do you have? You have at home? How many? You don't have extra. You have extra? How many? 3. And you? You just issue one. You need to replenish. So everyone, if you want to be a book distributor, a serious book distributor, you have to think big. And each one of you should have at least 50 Bhagavad Gita in your home. And I tell you, trust me on this. I've done it. If you have 50 books, Bhagavad Gita in your home, somehow you feel inspired to distribute them very good. If you have 100 Bhagavad Gita at home, you distribute them even faster. Because it's taking all the space. Everywhere you go, you see them. And they're reminding you, hey, what are you doing with me? And just locking me in the house. I want to be out there. I want to be out there liberating people. Why are you locking me in the house? So who wants to take up, who wants to, or say you're serious about book distribution? Now, put your money where your mouth is. Who is ready to take up the challenge of 50 Bhagavad? Remember, he thought he can, it is a big task to distribute 1,000 books. And I challenged him to do 5,000. He had no idea how to distribute 1,000 books, what to say of 5,000. Then he took up the challenge and see what happened. He did 5,000 for it. So I'm giving you on this small challenge, 50 books. Who is ready to experience the special mercy of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and see how it works through you? Give me a big clap, big hand. Give me a big hand. But someone needs to keep him company. You know why? Because if we have no competition, they're gonna be lazy. And then also, if he's the only one doing it, he will become puffed up. You don't want him to become too proud. So we need at least one more. Come on, one more. What about you? You, Mataji. Wow! Look, Mataji power. 2 is company. Sometimes you get too confident. So 3 is even better. Yeah, 3 is a crowd. Then in this way, they spur one another. What about this, Prabhu? You are asking about book distribution. Why book distribution? How to distribute books? So I already gave you the whole class about understanding why. So are you ready for the challenge? If we don't take up big challenges, our progress in Krishna consciousness will be very slow. If we want to take advanced leaps and bounds, we have to take big challenges and place ourselves at the mercy of Krishna. Don't think about your ability, whether I can or I cannot. If you think of yourself, whether you can or you cannot, I can already give you the answer. You cannot. 50 Bhagavad Gita. Wow, look at that. Here we go. Any more? So enthusiastic. Then a big book is there.
So next,
Raise hand. Yes. Okay. 200. And I know some of you are already thinking ahead. Should I? Should I not? Should I? Should I not? Don't think. Just do it. Be a Nike. Just do it. Okay. All right. So shall I stop at 4? 200. So you have to issue all these books before I come the next time. I won't come unless it's not distributed. So the faster you distribute them, the earlier I come back. And then I'll take you to the next level. All right, thank you. I tell you one other thing about distributing books. You see, when I was a temple president in Copenhagen, I always keep an eye on people who come for the Sunday feast, and I always try to engage them. So there were some young things, but no, they were interested, so I want to preach to them. And one of them is starting to learn how to do massage. So I present, I'm so I think you can give me a massage of peace. So they'll go up to my office, I'll lie down, and they give me, at least you'll give me a massage. And there will be 4 other of these people around me, working people. So while having massage, I will be preaching to them. I'll be speaking to them about Krishna consciousness. And by the end of the massage, all 5 of them got a whole set of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. They can distribute books anywhere, but you just have to have it in your consciousness. So impossible does not exist. It means I am possible. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol. Today we have 200 Bhagavad Gita sales. Tomorrow itself I'll put in order. Alright. So Chinese Bhagavad Gita, I'm not sure whether they have to talk. Because she is a Christian. Then okay. So again I would like to thank His Grace Ciranjiva for coming and giving us the motivation to be a book distributor, and of course also sharing his life story. Okay, it has been a very inspiring story. Like this again next week, we are having, for those who are coming for the first time, we are having this program every Saturday. Okay, please come and join us next week again Saturday. And on the 5th of August, there is a special program we are organizing here. 5th August, okay. Prabhu and I, Prabhu and I will be in home. We are waiting for a meeting in Pune. But actually, okay. So anyone who wants to come for the leadership conference, we are having it today. But at the same time, here we're going to have the program report. Okay, the program report as usual. I think Dinesh Prabhu and Mataji and everyone will get together. No, come into the program here. And on this day, we are having a special program on the 5th of August. Okay, 5th of August, we're going to call it as the Vedas and Science. Okay, it's going to be a seminar. It's going to be a 2-hour seminar. It's going to seminar like it's going to teach back all our past based on Mahabharata, science and define the history. Okay. Tentatively, they wanted to start at 6 p.m. because they need to have at least 6 to 9. Okay, please come and join 6 p.m. That's on 5th of August. The program starts at 6 o'clock in the evening. We are not going to do live, okay, because they don't want to do live. But of course, after the program, we share it. So it's not really better to come and attend live classes. Again, the class will be Vedas and Science. Okay. So, please don't miss that program. It's going to be the first ever seminar organized by this Bhakti Yoga Center. And the speaker, the presenter for this is going to be Veera Parikshit and Raja Parikshit from Kuche. Doctors, both are doctors, medical doctors. Both of them are coming because Raja Parikshit is not confirmed, but Dr. Veera Parikshit has confirmed. So he is going to come and give a presentation. Okay, and if Raja Parikshit makes it, he's going to show how the Chinese culture, the Indian culture, and also the Western culture are linked with our Vedic civilization. Okay, they're going to do a presentation, presentation. Don't miss the opportunity. Don't miss the opportunity. And please share it. Of course, I'm not going to share it today. I'm going to share it next week. So please share it all around and encourage everybody to come join. Okay, and of course, please, we also will make the registration because we want to know how much, because they are expecting a big crowd. So we want to know how many packs we will want. Okay. Then other than that, our Krishna Janmashtami is around the corner. All right. Krishna Janmashtami coming on when? September 5th. 7th. September 7th. Krishna Janmashtami is coming up, and the leaflet is already collected. Okay. So I hope that every one of you we all can work together and can make this program a very successful. We're going to have a big feast. All right. I'll be posting this on Monday because we just wait for the time. All right. So we're going to post the thing to Monday. I think I estimate roughly around. So roughly around approximately 3,000 to 5,000 people. We're going to do food for life program. So and a lot of other programs. Okay. So this is the grandest festival for ISKCON Eco and also as a Claudia. This is going to be our highlight festival. Okay. So I hope all of you can work together. Let's join together and make it a big success. It's going to be a very successful program. All right. So as you know that ISKCON Eco is in a world map. We are not in Malaysia map. We are in a world map. All right. We have pioneered Cambodia preaching. We have also created many book distributors in Singapore and major book distribution. We are holding records. All right. And we have the youngest we have the youngest what they call? We have first Chinese initiative devotee para. So like that we are creating so many records. But superficially, maybe not so big. But we are doing, and some of our YouTube channel, I think we have started around 3 months ago. We have already hit 100 over videos. Right, 100 so videos from variety of content, right, to the most sublime up to the most controversial. So like that, we have varieties of videos. We have already uploaded. So we are doing fantastically well. And now let's make our and some of this command center. Many people can say it's one of the most winning center. And okay, command center. And now is the time that we should make our. In 2023, Janmashtami is one of the best Janmashtami. Alright, so we are not going to tell you last week, we are telling you right earlier. So later you can collect that leaflet. So please go and distribute. Alright, and we need lots of this is crowdfunding. This is nothing to do 1% crowdfunding. Each of you can gather around donation. We can make it a very grand festival. And here is we will celebrate in our nation. It's funny because we're going to celebrate nation. So let's work together. Okay. Another announcement tomorrow. There is a program budget and class by Ciranjiva program. Going to give a class. That is Sanatan Dharma, North Indian Krishna Temple. Tomorrow there's a budget. 9 a.m. So tomorrow 9 a.m. If anyone is free, please join the what they call the North Indian Temple. Besides that, it's a great day school. Right? Sanatan Dharma. They call Dharma. Sanatan Dharma, North Indian Krishna Temple, Krishna Temple. Build budget and also we give class. Okay, and of course, North Indian Krishna also looks different. Don't miss it. Professor, okay, unexpected. So there is Prashadam is given. Those who are free tomorrow, 9 o'clock, go join them. Okay, don't miss that opportunity to go yesterday. Right? So with that, thank you so much. And I would like to thank all those prepared Prashadam today. Jay Baradev Prabhu and Mataji both prepared very quickly and with chutney and yes, and what they call I think Lita Mataji is prepared traditional nasi goreng, fried rice. Alright, fried rice. And Dutta and the husband both prepared fruits. And Seva Prayani prepared samosa. Alright? So today the samosa, today is a great feast. Enjoy meal. And please join us again next Saturday.
The rest are prepared the relatives. The rest are prepared.
Okay, thank you so much. Dutta, you want to sing that?